blow through this some more. Kiss, Revenge. Don't remember exactly who's on this album. I guarantee it has Paul Stanley and the bass player that doesn't, Gene Simmons. This was a better album than a lot of their other stuff because it was a little bit more heavy, and it came out in the early 90s. Kiss went through a whole lot of inceptions through the 80s and 90s, but this is one of the better albums. Like I say, I don't really like Kiss that much because they represents a... They're just poor taste. Their music's just poor taste. Pat Metheny, I was talking about Pat Metheny earlier. This is one on ECM. You can see the ECM label. Don't remember, he has so many albums. I've listened to all of them several times, and I could never really much get into it. This one's live. It's got an organ player, a bass player, and a drummer. None of them I recognize. I've actually given away a lot of Pat Metheny because people tell me they like them, and I'm like, well, it just so happens I got a couple of their CDs in my car you can just have. Some people just seem to really like him. He has a very retro sound, and he puts a delay on his guitar. I'm not saying I don't like him. You know, he's okay, but there's just so much stuff out by him. I got a rack of CDs sitting in this other room that half of it's Pat Metheny, and I've listened to all of it. It's good. It's not great. Kiss, smashes, thrashes, and hits. Nothing much you can say about this album. It is a bunch of greatest hits. Don't even know exactly what's on here. I guess I'm somewhat of a Kiss collector. You know, if I see it for 50 cents, I'll pick it up. If it's $1, I'm probably not going to pick it up. I think this is a gold CD. Yeah, this stuff, you can put these CDs on and they got really good sound quality. This is another Michael Jackson Thriller with, I don't know what's on the second, there's the films on the second side with a DVD. This, you know, I've talked about this album. Actually, I haven't really even talked about this album. Every time I pull it out, and this is like, I've had it on record and all that, every time I pull it out, I just say, what is there to be said about it? Really nothing. I mean, it was just so popular. It was just so immensely popular when I was young, and when it came out, it's mind-blowing just how much people regarded this, and was it as good as people said it was? If I wouldn't say it didn't deserve the praise it got. You know, there's better albums out there for sure, but you know, if you're gonna praise something, I'd rather you praise that than maybe Madonna, or hey, Madonna got a lot of accolades, but I'd rather praise that than the new insipid stuff that's out now. In Excess, The Swing. This looks like a really early In Excess. They had that song, I Need You Tonight, and their lead singer, Michael Hutchins, he eventually committed suicide through erotic asphyxiation, and he, I don't know if he was trying to commit suicide or not, I don't know, but he's deceased now. They hold a special place for me because I listened to these when I was young, but I didn't listen to them a hell of a whole lot. My mom loved that song, I Need You Tonight, and it's just such a catchy song. Dun 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 dun. It's just such a catchy song. She loved it. Can't even read this, not gonna try. Looks like a Live in Stardust Coheed and Cambia 2-disc set, full length concert DVD and full length concert audio CD. I should check this out. It's live, maybe it's good. Love live music. Another Pat Metheny. I remember this being one of the better ones. Can't really talk too much about it because, you know, like I said, and this is on ECM 1982. Don't recognize any of the players, but it's a 5-piece. And you know, I love the way that simplistic that ECM label looks. When I find good stuff on ECM, I'm ecstatic, but when I find Pat Metheny, it's just kind of let me close that. I just, you know, I just sit there and say, okay, it's Pat Metheny. Nick Drake. Nick Drake is a singer-songwriter, guitar player. He's really good. Love Nick Drake. You know, just so many underrated albums. I just love Nick Drake. It's hard to say what is his best. I think the cover where he's got his guitar next to him is probably the best one, and then it's got green outskirts. But Nick Drake is great. Singer-songwriter. Doesn't sound folky, just really good. It's really music to live by, I guess you could say. It's just really good stuff. The Jesus and Mary Chain, they're really good, and they were kind of popular. And you can, you know, I'm glad when I find their albums. They're kind of in the vein of Joy Division and, you know, early proto-punk or, you know, stuff like that. But they can't, you know, they were popular in the 90s. This is on Warner Brothers. They sound kind of like Sisters of Mercy. They're a little bit drony. They're good, and I'm glad when I find albums by them because I knew about them and knew a little bit of their music when I was young, when I was a teenager, maybe even, well, yeah, probably about in my mid to late teens, and that was just always a joy to listen to their music, and I liked them a lot, and it was kind of a novelty because they were a little bit popular, even though they probably shouldn't have been. Axe and Romans on this Alex Scorby disc. Alex Scorby, you recognize his voice if you heard it. Modern English. This is a really good 80s band that's not too synthy. Modern English is good. The name of this album is After the Snow. Can't remember their best album. You know, it's hard to explain exactly what they are, but they're just good. I'm trying to think of any hits they have. Hopefully I'll run by a CD and all this that has a hit on there where I can just run it off the top of my... Alright, Alibaba in a Desire case. Obviously, I showed this the other day. It had a bunch of water damage on the cover, so I obviously just put it into a different case. The actual Louis Ramirez, who's a vibe player on this, turned into a timbales player. Incredible timbales player. Louis Ramirez, and the name of the album's Alibaba. It's a bunch of short songs, really Latin jazzy. It's okay. The Bob Dylan Desire, it has that 8.5 minute long song Hurricane that was made for that movie about, is it Muhammad Ali? With Denzel Washington playing Muhammad Ali. The movie's great. This song Hurricane is infectious. I love 8-minute, 9-minute long songs, and it's just infectious all the way through. And it's a political song and all that, and I don't, you know, with all the crap that Bob Dylan's come out with, I respect something like that. This busted up case, I had to pull it out because it's Afro-Cuban Fiesta. I remember this being good. It's Cuban music to the degree that, you know, Cuban music is good, and this is pretty good. It's got a bunch of like stuff that I was listening to when I was young, and I obviously picked this up at Hastings. You know, I wouldn't say young, but, you know, this is when all the reissues weren't reissued, and this was the only stuff you could find. I was chuffed to find it because you could dance to it. It's, you know, got Mongo Santa Maria on it, Benny Moré, the band Cubanismo. Cubanismo is really good. It's not hard salsa or anything like that, but it's danceable music. It's fun to listen to. It's a little bit, you know, low-key, just not a lot going on, like when a lot of salsa music where it's just, you know, ensembles of players and a bunch of percussion. They may only do it with two, maybe three percussionists, and even though, you know, you got a guy playing the claves, a guy on the congo, and a timbales player. And I guess when I re-listen to this, I'm the only one that's going to know what any of that means, but it is what it is. This is a live GeorgeMicheal, Listen Without Prejudice. I remember this being really good. I always liked GeorgeMicheal. My mom really liked GeorgeMicheal. Faith, the faith, the faith. Ooh, you gotta have faith, the faith, the faith. At least once a week I get that saxophone solo from Careless Whisper stuck in my head, which was his band before this was Wham. And then they did that song Careless Whisperer. I get that sax solo stuck in my head all the time, but it's a good sax solo. It sounds great within that music. It sounds incredible. I remember this being good. You know, it's GeorgeMicheal live. It's not going to be a barn burner or anything like that. Here we got MenatWork live. Love MenatWork. You know, I've got the album Cargo. I've got that all on record. Cargo. Their stuff is easy to find. They do that song, Who Could It Be Now? With a sax part, doing that part that I was whistling. Yeah, they're really good. I'm trying to think of their other famous song. Sometimes I feel like somebody's watching me. There's another one that they do that's really good, that's famous, and I can't remember what it is. A song called, album called Cargo. I can't remember what the name of the other album is that has that song on there. This is live. I've seen a lot of their live stuff on YouTube. I've listened to this. It's great. I love MenatWork. Did we come from the men down under? They do that song. One more. Disturbed. They are some kind of new metal. I picked this up super cheap. Not a real big fan of Disturbed. Real big fan of metal. And this is Belly. I need to set it to the side because when I picked up this stack, when I went back in there, it all fell out of my hands and CDs flew all over the place and I couldn't find the case to this one. And I said when I make the video, I'll pull out the case, set it aside. Thanks, you guys.